In Quebec, businesses are moving cautiously in some cases to some form of reopening, not back to normal, but to allow for some return to revenue generation. In the case of cinemas, though, some of the revenue opportunity is not on the table. That is their concessions, which will remain closed. Vincent Guzzo is with us now. He's President and CEO of Cinémas Guzzo. Thank you very much for being with us.
And thank you for having me.
I know because I'm one of those moviegoers who go half for the big screen experience and half for the popcorn. How much of a revenue hit is it to you if you can't have your concessions open?
So overall, in a normal day, it's about 50% of our total daily revenue. But in this case, there's two restrictions that are very hurtful. There's the no concession for the whole day. And then there's the fact that there's a curfew at 8 o'clock, which means we lose another half of the revenue on the ticket sales on the box office for the night shows, right? So we have 3 afternoon shows, 2 night shows. So it's a 50-50 split. So we're really, losing 50% of the revenue for the box office, and we're losing 100% of the revenue for the concession. That brings us to about maximum 25% of the potential revenue, which is a money-losing situation. And then we'll have people like you who will say, well, I don't want to go if I can't have a popcorn. So that 25% is going to drop even more.
So there is some compensation for this lost revenue. Is it enough? Will it make it worthwhile for you to reopen?
Well, let's get something clear. There is no compensation. I think the premier spoke out of line. He wanted to look good as if there was going to be compensation. But the compensation they're talking about is a compensation that we're already entitled to, which is $15,000 per location per month. And then once we're told that we can reopen, if we do reopen, we have 60 days of that compensation, which means $15,000 for every 30 days. It's basically the same compensation they're offering, which means, that's where I use the expression. So I had a gift last week, and you're basically repackaging it and telling me that you're giving me a compensation. But it's the same thing that I had last week. It's part of the program we're already part of. It's nothing new. But we have to remember, I never asked for any compensation. I never asked for subsidy for this popcorn crisis. I just asked, let me offer the experience that my consumers want. French media polled a few listeners, and they all said, why would I go to the movies with my kids if I can't offer them a popcorn and a treat and whatever? It's not the same experience. I mean, nobody wants to go to a movie and just be confined to the theater.
Obviously, this has been a terribly tough time. How have you managed? What's the state of your business today?
Well, look, like every other movie theater, Cineplex and all of the big players, basically what's happening is we're just bleeding monthly money, and we're indebting ourselves, and we're going to get out of this, but we're all going to have a bigger debt on our balance sheet. That's for sure.
And how long can it drag on for you? Obviously, you've done everything you can, as you've made all the changes you can make to survive here. When do you need it to be normal? Concessions open, no restrictions, 100% revenue opportunity.
Well, what's really sad is that today the Premier's office released public health recommendations. And in fact, Quebec Public Health has been asking for theaters, restaurants and gyms to be open. First of all, they were never supposed to have closed in October. And then they've been asking every month for them to be open since early December, which is very sad to hear because ultimately, what we're doing is we're having a political decision go up and above what public health is recommending. So the real problem is I'd like to see this happen as soon as possible. We're a lucky company because we were under leveraged. And so, we could easily put on new debt. But it's still debt, that we're going to have to repay, right? People need to understand a subsidy is a forgivable amount, but not a debt. We've got to pay that back. And it's debt that we have nothing to show for. It's not that we have a new theater, more assets, right?
Although we did see massive appetite for Cineplex's bonds, does that give you some comfort that if you need to go that route, you can? And clearly it's a vote of confidence on the part of investors.
But in fact, that is the primary positive for us, is that now we can go back to financial partners, even though some of our financial partners are part of the consortium that backs Cineplex, and now they understand that if there's appetite for Cineplex's bonds, there must be then hope in the industry and faith in the industry that we will bounce back. In fact, movie theaters are traditionally recession-proof, and that usually means crisis-proof, meaning if we had not been shut down, movie theaters may be the only place people would have gone to sort of change their minds. Now, you're going to get a sort of a, after prohibition effect once all this opens up. You got to remember, it's not 3 months closures anymore. This is 10 months that people have been, restricted in their freedoms. They're all going to want to rush back to restaurants and movie theaters. So that's where I think the bond.
I'll be there in the front row eating my popcorn, Vince. Thank you for being with us. We'll check back with you. Good luck as you go along here. Vince Guzzo is the president and CEO of Cinemas